All right. Thank you so much once again. My name is Damilola Roberts. Thank you for joining today's session. I am the host and founder of the Growth Camp. A bit about the Growth Camp before we start. We are a marketing community, and our goal is to help upscale young and upcoming or even middle level marketing professionals who want to gain a lot more practical understanding about marketing profession and also upskill their career by networking and having great engagement with their peers and also their top line, which are more like professionals who have been doing marketing for quite some time. One of the ways we do that is that we bring in marketing professionals who are at the top of their career to come in and have conversations about how they've been able to build sustainable campaigns and also show us practicalities through workshop and webinars like this once a month. We've been doing this for about 17 months now. We started January last year, and we've been doing that consistently for the past 1 year, 4 months. It's been a great conversation. It's been a lot of learning. We also host one of the biggest marketing conferences out of Nigeria called the North Star Conference. We did the first one last year. It was super successful, where we had over 400 to 500 marketing professionals come together, and we had a great conversation, especially in the field of marketing. Unlike every other profession, like the engineering field, they always have their conferences, their own hangouts, their own webinars, but especially within the tech ecosystem, one of the things we've seen is that we don't have a lot of events for marketers, and that is why we created this. We also have a community on Telegram where we have conversations. It's been very super cool and fun since we started, and I'm super excited. I'm seeing like a couple of new faces here. Thank you so much for joining today's session. We are also available on social media, so please, if you are not following us on social media, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. We are available on Instagram, we are available on Twitter, which is X. We are also available on LinkedIn, and we also have like a Telegram channel where we have like a couple of our members who constantly have conversation, especially it could be maybe the challenges they are facing at work. Some of them like hit a snag and they need like a technical person, or they need someone able to help them direct their marketing campaign, especially if it's not going as possible. Just getting professional advice from a couple of people or a community of people who are top professionals in their field. That is why we have the community. Sometimes this year, we are also going to be hosting the North Star Conference. For those who are living in Nigeria, it's going to be happening in Abuja. And it's going to be a very insightful one. I know a couple of people have reached out to say we should have a Lagos event. It's definitely something we are thinking about. But at the moment, Abuja people do not enjoy quarter of what Lagos people enjoy when it comes to, having conferences and events, especially as regards to career. So that is why we are hosting it in Abuja. For today, we are going to be having a very interesting session. If you would like to check some of the videos that we've recorded in the past, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can go there after this event, and you would see quite a number of videos that have been recorded for the past one year. Right from day one, we've been recording all of our sessions to be able to share with our community and the entire group. So it's already there, and you can go ahead and check it out. For today, it's going to be a very interesting one. I know a couple of months ago, I said one of the biggest challenges marketing professionals currently face is the fact that they know too much but know too little about data. A couple of people would see a data set right in front of them, and they will not be able to interpret it or be able to make a measurable suggestion out of it, right? The reason why marketing in the 21st century is far better than the last 15, 30, 40 years is because we now have analytics. And analytics helps you make business decisions. One of my friends will always say, we only trust God, every other person should bring data. And that's super important when you're making like a business decision. It is not for you to know that data is important. The best thing is to know how to actually use those tools, how to be able to interpret data, and how to be able to make a marketing or a business decision out of it. And that is what we are going to be having today. We already have our speaker Adekunle Kadri is going to be talking about data interpretation for marketers, how to turn data into actionable insights, which I think is one of the biggest challenges, even up until now, that we have. Every marketer agree that it is important for you to understand data. Very few people actually know how to use the tools to be able to interpret this data and make actionable insights. So from Google Analytics to Adjust to AppFlyer to Mixpanel to Grafana, just mention any of those tools. How conversant are you with those tools? How exactly can you use them? Even social media analytics that comes from Facebook, Instagram, X, how are you able to understand this data just beyond impression and reach, and you are able to make a great marketing decision, right? One of the reasons why this community was also created was because over time, whenever there is a layoff in the company, the first department they lay off is the marketing department. And you might probably have asked yourself, why is the marketing department the first department they always lay off? It is because a lot of organizations sees marketing as a cost driver and not a revenue driver. And what that would mean in simple terms is marketing always spend money, but we do not see the results as much as we would love to see it, right? And this is because a lot of marketers are not making data-driven decisions. It's a problem that needs to be fixed. And I hope that through this conversation, through this engagement, you are able to learn one or two things and you are able to start practicalizing every of the learning in your work, in your company, almost immediately. So without further ado, I would like to get out of the way and invite our speaker, Adekunle Kadri, to take today's session. Please put your hands together for him using the reaction button. Thank you so much, Adekunle, for being this session.
Thank you for the great intro. Thank you, Damilola. Hi, everyone. I see the reactions. Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So, good evening, everyone. I'm currently in Nigeria, and so we're around. This is like 6:11 here. So, just a brief intro into myself. My name is Adekunle Kadri, and I'm excited to be here today. We're looking at turning data into actionable insights. So, with over a decade of experience from financial services, e-commerce, cloud and ERP companies, and currently I work in financial services where I lead product analytics. Anyways, I was just moved to a new team just last week. So I lead the research and data science team. I've done a couple of stuffs, but we're not going to go into details today. But then we're just going to go straight into our presentation. Okay, the slide is up. All right. So just like I mentioned, we're looking at turning data into action, right? So the first thing I just want to talk about is a lot of people just see data, right? It's more than numbers and statistics, right? We see all of them. We see those fine data housed in maybe a Power BI in a platform. So it's just a tool. If you are using it correctly, if you are leveraging it, you are going to see growth, obviously. For example, I remember a time where we had an issue, right? While I think I was in insurance driving some digital innovations. So we noticed that when people try to buy insurance via some of our platforms, they will sign in, but then eventually they don't buy. And you can do this in nanoseconds, right? So what did we do? We took advantage of one tool, and it was Damilola that just reminded me. There was a tool we were using then, Mixpanel. So we connected Mixpanel to understand the flow of what was even happening, people interacting with our platforms. Then we saw that, oh, at the very points they break, and that breakage was because I think they needed to input they need to update an image, right? Image of maybe their ID card, but then I think it has to be in PDF. So it was some of the guys that wrote those code that didn't they didn't make it open to every user. So a lot of people were breaking at that point. But then it took us to use data to see, oh, where are the drop-offs? So in the funnel, we saw that, oh, people break when they are about to attach a particular file. Then we saw that problem, then we fixed. And trust me, month on month, there was no breakage. Even if there will be breakage, it will not be at that point. Maybe it is when you're trying to inflow money into your account or whatever, which is like a third party issue. So that impacted our revenue and all. So what I'm just trying to say here is data is just more than numbers and statistics. It's a lot of people think is, oh, let's gather data, let's just say something. No, there's a storytelling to data, there's insights, right? So that's what we're looking at today. The next slide, please. Yeah, so what we have here is data is the at this turning data into actionable insights involves different steps. So I'll first start with data is everywhere. Sometimes I think in the early 2020, I think 2020, people are always saying data is the new oil, all of those stuffs. That's fact, right? But now what we see is data is improving our actions, right? So one thing is for a marketer, you need to understand your data. Are you collecting the right data? What type of data should we be focusing on? Does it align with the business goals? Right. Those are the kind of things we should look at. So you should organize your data, sort your findings by the recurring themes or categories, identify frequent issues, extract insights. These are the patterns and steps that can help us achieve actionable insights. Data can come from any source, or it can come from customer feedback, it can come from your traffic, it can come from a sales report, it can come from operational metrics, in terms of attrition. How many employees do we have month on month? You want to see those that are leaving you. So deep down, you should have yourself. You may not know, you just feel people are resigning, but then maybe there's a trend that you need to look at. Right. So why are people resigning? Okay, there's a trend for a lot of people. Why did they leave? So that's the importance of data in one place. And most times I advise people, when you want to see insights, ask them in a particular platform. As a marketer, you don't have to be like, oh, a data engineer, a data scientist, wrangling data, building pipelines. You can, as simple as Power BI is, it's fine if it's a plus when you're a marketer and you have those skills. As simple as Excel can be also. Excel is very complex, but then just building dashboards with an Excel, it says something. Maybe it is about marketing spend. This is what we have. This you don't understand. Maybe Damlola was talking about revenue some minutes back. Maybe just to track revenue to say, oh, we're even spending less now, and we're getting more impact based on data. So data is really important. We need to start by organizing what you want to talk about, extract insights, and also make actionable insights. Next slide, please. So the next slide would talk about what are even actionable insights. They are like nuggets of information that usually guides, right? So it guides our actions. It guides what are next steps. It's not just raw data. It tells us what to do, right? It also like tells us like pattern, trends, and recommendations. What are the specific things that we need to make decisions on? So just think of them like a blueprint, right? It just helps you improve your features, improve pain points. So on the next slide, there's also the part that talks about data and insights. Data tells you what is happening, right? Insight tells you what to do. So sometimes some of my subordinates, you get reports, they report activities, right? Oh, this is the performance, but you're not telling me what the data is saying. Are you telling a story with your data? So data will give you raw facts. Next slide, data will talk about numbers, it will track activities. But then what are the insights? The insights are meaningful information, right? The insights are interpreted as maybe conclusion. What are your next steps? What are the recommendations? Then we can see a point, we can get to a point where this will tell me, oh, I can now drive a decision based on this data. It is advisable to do so, and so, right? then we can now start thinking of, oh, what do we implement? What are the next steps? So that's how to drive actionable insights. So let me paint different use cases for you here, and it may not align with a lot of us, because maybe I'm coming from a digital-led companies. That's where I've worked anyway. So these are like my best examples. But for marketers also, it can also align. So look at the slide here. There's next slide, please. So there's data, there's actionable insight examples. So these are use cases, right? So take for example, a user drops off on step 3 of a sign up, right? Obviously, it's going to lower your onboarding rate. So the insight is, okay, so what am I supposed to do at this point? So you can conduct a usability testing to see what's happening on your own. Then the insight is you taking an action. Maybe you see from the data that people are dropping off. So you're advising maybe the business team to say, oh, this is what the data is saying. Then you can say, okay, then, so these are the next steps. I think I've also done usability tests, but then we need to look at this problem. So maybe for situations where users search features and they are not on the menu, so you can evaluate whether you need to add certain features. So it's just color. You're adding more color to your content, to your data, right? Customers say they leave due to poor notification. So what are the controls? What do we do? What are the actions? So it's not just about story. Oh, we have this data, we have that. So what are you implementing? What are the changes that you are implementing? What insights do we have? How do we track progress? Right? So those are like basically what you do. So the data is powerful anyways. You make different decisions, you make smarter decisions. It helps us optimize processes, drive business success. Also helps increase revenue and improve customer satisfaction. So at the end of the day, it is important that we get the data, and it is also important that what is the data saying? Look at correlations between different data points. If you're looking at maybe you're doing a VOC survey, you're trying to gauge sentiment from customers. Can you correlate it with the complaint? Is there a correlation? So it's just making story, making sense out of data. Next slide, please. All right. I'm not able to see this very well, but I'm going to do this. All right. So what are the benefits, right? So the benefits of turning data into insights is basically it makes you know what are your priorities, what should we focus on. When you see data points of maybe complaints, the frequency, right, the number of complaints per quarter, maybe failed transaction is like 50% of your complaints, right? That's data. So the insight there is, oh, what are we prioritizing? Because you have data that is telling you failed transaction like is the top complaints customers are complaining about. So it's clearer to you to say, okay, this is what we're improving first, right? So it just makes you to decide on time based on data. Then you're able to strategize more effectively. Then obviously to improve customer experience, it will improve user experience. Then you can also monitor the impact, right, of whatever strategies or whatever insights you have brought out from your data analysis. Next slide. I think this should be. Okay, so how do you turn, I think I mentioned this earlier. So how do you turn data into actionable insights? You can start organizing your data, right? Sometimes raw data, they are always overwhelming. So it's best to and there are a lot of tools, AI tools that helps these days. Either they can help you group, make sense out of your data. But then if you don't have so much data, it is best to just look at it. At least you have a sense of whatever that data is. If it's a customer complaints data, you understand what they are saying. Maybe you need to defend it. So sometimes when you read those comments, it helps. Then you classify them, similar comments in a bucket. So you don't get lost in the noise anyway. So the first thing is identify, organize your data, find patterns, right? find patterns across the data, then you can extract whatever insights that you want to look at. So this kinds of gives you a clear understanding of user experience, well, frustrations as you may look at. Then maybe you can now look further to say what is the root cause, what are the root cause of these issues, right? Then you can make it actionable. So an actionable insight is really important. So it takes you to what the problem is, proposed solution, and also expected outcome. I think that brings me to the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, let us know, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was really, really quick. I don't know if anybody has a question. I think there's like so much more to add in terms of uh, data. And I think it would be great if you can ask like very practical example. I think we have like another 30 minutes to be able to talk about this. If anyone has like any practical challenges you're facing, is it in measuring data or even trying to analyze data, and you really want to talk about it, this is a good place for you to be able to ask the question. And we'll both try as much as possible to be able to walk you through on step-by-step process that you need to do to be able to achieve that. This is probably one of the fastest sessions we've had, so we are going to have like a lot of time for Q&A. So if you have like any question regarding this presentation, or it is you who is typically having issues with data or in terms of interpreting it, or you don't even know how to collect the data, or maybe you've collected it, you are having issues with interpreting it, or maybe you've even tried to interpret it, we are trying to make like a business decision sense out of it. It can be related to what has been taught here or even outside what has been taught in this session. Please feel free to be able to unmute and ask your question, or probably even type it in using the chat button function. If you have a question, you can raise your hand and you can just dig right into it. Any question? Okay, great. Please, you can unmute and speak.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, so my question is that one of the things I'm usually careful about in managing or using data is the data source. I mean, like the accuracy of the data source. But I believe that is wrong, then whatever interpretation and action that I'm taking out of it is likely going to be also wrong. So, what are the steps to take? What are the precautions? What are the measures? What should I do to be sure that the kind of data I'm getting or the way the data is interpreted or where the data is coming from is accurate to the extent that I can trust it to actually make decisions?
All right. Kadri, do you want to take that?
Yes, I want to. All right, so you're absolutely right, right? About being careful with data. Accuracy and precision is really important. But what I would say is the first thing, at least for the data sets that I've worked in, most times is usually like internal, is real life, right? So just like people that are transacting, right? They're obviously transacting, so you can't. There's really nothing you can say about that. But for situations, maybe you're doing a project, you're not sure of the data, so you need to do like a careful analysis. Sometimes maybe there are some missing blanks. There are some outliers, maybe on a column and row. Obviously, maybe using USSD now, the minimum across board is 20,000 per time, right? Then you see that data, then maybe there's like an outlier. So if you have not carefully looked at the data, maybe you've not carefully analyzed, you may not see the outlier. So best thing is when you're not certain or you're not sure, you need to carefully analyze and interpret, right? And then also you need to monitor, keep an eye on maybe what you're analyzing, outliers, and also for the source. I don't know if you can maybe add more color to your question. Maybe there's a that we can look at.
Okay, let me also like take a shot at that question. Maybe you want to answer this question first, then we can just dig into it. So can you give us like an example of the source of the data?
So are you talking to me?
Yes, please.
So can you come again?
The source of the data.
The source of data. Okay. Let me give an example. There are several examples, but I can't really remember. But I think one is coming to my mind currently. So there was a day I was in my former place of work. I was working, and I was asked to collect data. So my boss asked me to give him data as regarding the monthly search volume, competition level, and all that for some keywords for SEO. So I went to ChatGPT and I typed everything that I needed, told it to pull data for me as regarding okay the keyword, search, multi search volume, competition level, and all that. I don't do it in keyword plan. I just went straight because of the volume of keywords that I have to produce. So I don't want to go and now be doing the search one by one. So I got the information that okay, ChatGPT can actually do this thing. Then I went there and it pulled the data for me and made that I sorted everything out into like the tables, the main keyword and LS and all that. So I've already done that and I submitted it to him. So he approved it and said, okay, I can go on with it. But when I went ahead with it, I myself now later found out that what I saw in that ChatGPT is actually different from what I found in when I was doing the research to start writing the blog post and all that. So those first set of keywords, because they are the information I got or the data that I now actually got was wrong. So I believe that all the other keywords I've already written and even submitted that he has approved, everything was wrong. So I could not go ahead with it, and I don't know how to tell him that data was wrong. So that's why I'm asking those kind of questions, like, okay, so that I cannot make that mistake again, and being sure of like the source of my data. And if I eventually it happens to me or to any other person in the future that you find out that the data you have is not correct, what should you do? Are there tools that can confirm these things, or are there things that I can do to actually rectify those kind of stuff?
Awesome, awesome. So let me take a shot at your question. There are two types of data source, right? We have the machine data source and also the file data source. Machine data source are stored in like system database, where a typical example would be like a fintech company that has the database of all of their users because they've done KYC for them, right? You have like also even beyond just the KYC data, you have like their transaction data, so you are able to like make references just based on that, right? Another type of data source is what is called like the file data source. Those are data sources that you typically find in like PDF sheet, an Excel sheet, a Word document, right? And it could be written by someone or even documents that you have in your own company. To be able to narrow down the answer just based on the question you've asked, rule of thumb, do not use ChatGPT as a source of data. ChatGPT, when it comes to data, is going to give you, it's going to pull out content from the internet, right? And then make a suggestion to you just based on the content it has given. So the chances of ChatGPT giving you an accurate data is actually zero. It can't give you an accurate data. So in your case, you are doing an SEO audit. There are like a lot of tools that have been built to be able to give you the right information about the analysis in which you're doing. A typical example would be SEM Rush, right? You use SEM Rush, you are able to have like your competitive analysis, you are able to find even your own like traffic analysis. Those information are close to being accurate compared to what ChatGPT is going to give to you, right? You can also use Google, right? You can use Google Keyword Planner, for example. You are able to get at least an insight into either what your competitors are doing or the search volume of a particular keyword, because Google is like the powerhouse for search. So there is absolutely nobody on the planet of this earth that has enough information about that particular keyword as much as Google. Why? If it is in the Nigerian context, maybe 9 out of every 10 person uses Google to search. I don't know if there are strange people that still use Yandex or Bing to search, or you I can't confidently say that 10 out of 10 people will use Google because they are just some strange humans that decide to go outside of the norm. But there is a huge chance that 9 out of 10 people in Nigeria are using Google to make a Google search, right? And what that means is that if your market is in Nigeria and you want to start search volume in Nigeria, Google is the right authority when it comes to that, right? So there are some secondary tools and primary tools that gives you like information just based on your industry or based on what you're searching for. Those are the type of people that you look up to. If you are looking for data outside of your business environment that is reliant on third-party information, you want to go to the source, right? And in your case, Google is the source, because even the word search engine optimization was coined by Google. It was not coined by marketers, right? So the whole SEO algorithm thing is a Google thing. And the best information you can find is directly from them and not from any other third-party source that is outside of the guys that gather the data. In terms of data search, they are the guys you will go to. So the long and short of this is that if you ever want to do a research, who are the authority that has enough information to be able to help you make informed decisions about this analysis? Those are the guys you are most likely going to get the closest answer to, rather than use ChatGPT. Like, rule of thumb, never use ChatGPT to gather data. You can use ChatGPT to analyze the data after you've gathered it, right? There are like a lot of plugins. I have one plugin on my ChatGPT that's called data analysis that helps actually analyze data just based on the prompt I've given to it. But that's the only thing it can do. It cannot source the data from the original source for me, because what ChatGPT will really do is look at all of the information online, aggregate it, and give you one answer. It can only give you one answer. It's not Google that has page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and you're able to like source through so many information to be able to make an informed decision, right? So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank
Yeah, so just to add to it, I think all what Damilola said is valid, right? But then I'll also add one more color to it. So there's also something that maybe a concept, data profiling, right? So when you have data, just like I think I mentioned, so you need to understand the structure and quality of the data, whether they are anomalies, they are outliers, right? Maybe they are even missing values or duplicate records or other issues. So you are going to see patterns. Do you get? Or you want to even check whether there's like a range. For example, maybe the range of people on the column of that data is just between 40 to 60 years. By the time you start seeing 150, 180, most people die from like 100 or less than. Do you get? So I think that works also. But then I also advise you, so just for future sake, when you work in a company, it's not best to maybe share files on ChatGPT. You're exposing them that way. Anyways, just like you mentioned, you can just ask it for advice. There are sometimes when my SQL queries are not correct, then I just dump the contents on ChatGPT and it tells me, oh, there's a comma missing somewhere. Yeah, so it makes life easier. Do you understand? Just like instead of you dumping like a document, so you can use it to analyze data, or maybe you want to take an action. All right, how do I go around this data? How do I build a bar chart off of this data? How do I wrangle? How do I use Python? How do I use different things? So it's really helpful and it does a lot. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Kadri. Emmanuel, please. I see you've been raising up your hand for some time. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Damilola and Kadri. Thank you very much. It's been really insightful so far. Thank you, Dami, for the breakdown you gave about ChatGPT and all that, and the balance Kadri gave about usage of it. By the way, Dami, what's that plugin you said you use, please?
Data analysis. That's just the name. Just type data analysis. Yeah, that's the name.
Okay, good. All right, I have 2 questions. Okay, I had 3, but the third one was related to AI and ChatGPT, because Kadri mentioned while he was giving his presentation that he used it, but I see, I'm guessing it's GPT, right? Or do you use other tools apart from GPT? Are there other AI tools you use?
There are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. So there's one that
Well,
not just, not just data. There are just a lot of them. ChatGPT. I use Copilot most times because it's kind of associated with the company account. Then it doesn't really go out of the domain to work.
Yeah. Okay. GPT and Copilot makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you very much. All right, so I'll just go straight to the two questions I have left. So the first one I want to ask, right, is from your experience, what would you deem to be an effective way to segment? I like to call it audiences, right? When it comes to behavioral data, and I'm asking this question because I'm guessing that most people that are here interact with data. I'm talking metadata within apps and within products, and so I think that one of the major important things that we interact with is behavioral data, to see how these people are interacting with our products and stuff. And so just being able to an effective way to segment the audiences. And if you need the use case for that, I mean, so imagine that you're interacting, you're analyzing data from a particular product or an app in this case, and then some users basically engage a lot more with like the reviews. Others just click the price comparison links. They just go about, and you can see that from the metadata. So again, let's say you now have like the behavioral data, right? Which effective way would you like suggest to go about segmenting the audiences, just so that you're not limited to basic stuff like age, gender and all that, but like really digging deeper into like their behavior and all that. Should I go for the second question or I should pause?
Let me go
I think.
Let me go at this. You can ask the second. Yeah. So question. These are like areas where I work on, right? So what I'll start with is there's a model that I usually use for behavioral, and it's very high level. So it's RFM, and what I mean RFM is RFM criteria. R
M like okay.
R for
F
radius. F.
Okay.
So it's not radius, recency. F for frequency for monitoring. RFM criteria.
M. Okay. Great.
So RFM. So it's very simple. It's a powerful technique that I use and it has worked. So it just makes me cluster customers effectively, rather than just trying to know their age or the length of relationship. Oh, this person has been banking with you for 10 years. This person has been banking with you for 4 years. So recency, frequency, and monitoring. So what recency does for me is it tells me the last time you made a purchase, right? So the more customer buys from me, they are more likely to respond to my marketing efforts. Then the frequency, so how frequent has Kunle been buying? Then the value, right? Monetary in terms of, okay, maybe Damilola is richer than myself, is spending more. So the way they will treat Damilola is different from myself. Ideally, the way they should treat, because Damilola is giving me all the money. He may not even be complete like myself, right? So a customer segment is the ideal one is to classify your customers, know them. You build targeted offers to the different class based on RFM. So that alone, it works for segmenting. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really good. Thank you.
I also just to jump on that, I think first and foremost we need to define. You said customer segmentation, right? And this has like clusters of actions that customer takes on a particular website, and this data like can be very different. The how you gather data in a fintech platform is quite different, especially for user behavior. It's different from how you gather data in a real estate data or a food delivery, for example, right? So there are like different ways in which you want to do it. And I think they're actually very similar to what Kadri has said. So you're looking like purchase behavior, for example. You also want to look at like website activities, and app activity. You want to look at customer journey, for example. You want to look at like loyalty program also. But under each of these, they also have like different segmentation. So think of purchase behavior, for example, right? One of the things you want to look at for in terms of doing segmentation is you want to segment based on purchase history, right? Another thing you also can segment is based on spending habits in another way in which you also want to do segmentation under purchase behavior. You also want to do segmentation just based on purchase frequency. How often do they purchase, right? Also, you want to do segmentation based on benefit sought after. So what benefit are they looking out for? Is it convenience? Is it price? Is it quality of the product, right? That is one of the things you look out for when it's like a purchase behavior. If you now want to do segmentation on that website or app activities, you want to do segmentation based on page view. You also want to do segmentation based on time spent on a page, right? You can do segmentation based on abandonment of carts. You can do segmentation based on app usage, right? These are some of the activities like within the app that you can also create segmentation. The most important question you need to ask yourself is, why am I doing this? And what benefits does this data do to me in making like business decision? So if say you want to increase revenue, for example, or yes, let's say you want to actually even do your retention analysis. You have just 30% of your users are active, 70% of them are inactive, they are already churned, and you want to bring them back to life, right? What data, what information should you be looking out for? One of the things you probably want to do is these users, before they churn, what activities were they doing? So if basically like it's a fintech company, they created a virtual card, they use your virtual card for like 2 or 3 times and they stop using your platform. You can do a segmentation of people like that, right? And sell other activities to them. Because for some people, maybe the reason why they come to your platform is because of virtual card, but you have like other services outside of that that you do that they did not even know about. So how do you upsell from these other services, right? For them to come back. For some people, customer support issue, right? A lot of people churn because of customer support issue. They have issues with customer support. They have like a couple of complaints and nobody is rectifying it. How do you sell yourself to them as, okay, we realize that you're no longer using the platform. Based on our data, the last time you used this platform was this also date. Could this be as a result of our customer issue problem? They give you a feedback, you are able to like win them back. So different ways you can segment users just based on different activities in which you've done, right? So again, in segmentation, 2 things are very important. Why exactly are we doing this segmentation, and to what end are we doing this segmentation, and how does this segmentation help us achieve a business objective during a particular period of time? These are like the key things you look out for when you're building like a segmentation. I hope that answers your question.
This is yes, Damilola. This is very. I was typing all the way, just really taking notes from you and Kadri. Very, very, very insightful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Give me a minute. Let me complete what I was typing. Business goal. Objective. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So my last question is I can't remember who exactly now. Someone mentioned, I think it was Damilola, mentioned something about creating something unique to. Okay, well, I mean, it's good that you've talked about it now when you're trying to create something, a personalized service. So my question is simple: how do you get to balance personalization with user privacy, right, or like data limitations? And so I'm asking this because you have regulations like the GDPR or iOS restrictions and all that. They make it really hard, or at least not easy to collect rich data. Do you understand? So yeah, so how do we get to, with all of these limitations, still be able to balance personalization, still achieve personalization, right, despite user privacy policies across the different data source platforms? So that's my question.
Great. Let me take a shot at that. And this is such an important question because I think I was having this conversation earlier with a friend that was very similar to this. Their level of autonomy that you have when you have users' data, to what extent can you use it, is also an important question, right? So one of them is, you've been on websites that they would, when you register, they say, can we send you marketing emails?
Mm-hmm.
Know that you have to tick those boxes. Say, oh yeah, you are free to send me like sales email or marketing emails, and some of them you say, I don't want to get your marketing emails, right? That is one of the things that companies are now beginning to build into their system, right? To say, do you want to continue to hear from us? Over time, working in fintech, I've seen people personally write emails to us and say, I do not want to get any of your emails again. Take me out of your mailing list. And you know what you do? Immediately you do that, right? Because people have the right to how they want to consume the information you're pushing on their neck, right? So one of the best way to be able to do this is allow people to actually enter the funnel themselves. So imagine you wanting to build a newsletter. You don't just go because, so let's say fintech A, their name is Orthodox. You have signed up as a user because you want to use their virtual card. However, Orthodox has an email newsletter. Because they have your data as a user, does not give them the right to be able to send you their newsletter email. So how do they get your permission to be able to get their newsletter? One of the way is maybe during maybe during the app, they say, oh, we have a newsletter, are you interested? Immediately you say you are interested, or you put in your email, again, you are giving them the authority to be able to send you access, to be able to, that's the word, access to be able to send you like their marketing emails or their newsletter. Let's be focused, especially newsletter. But if a user turns them down, is not giving them permission, they have no right to be able to do that. And I think we have like a lot of misuse of personal data, especially in Nigeria right now. And thank God for like a lot of data rules that are coming in, right? To be able to make sure that a lot of businesses are not misusing the data that they have, right? Another example is even SMS. Like a lot of companies do not know that you do not have the right to send a sales SMS outside of a transaction SMS to a user. So even thinking about it, there are like a lot of big businesses in Nigeria that if somebody decides to say, you know what, I want to sue you for actually disturbing me with your SMS, the person will most likely go to court and win, right? Because a lot of them are now doing like loads of spam instead of having to do the reason why a user is coming up on the platform. And in terms of personalization, right? I mean, there are just basic personalization rules. Even when you are sending a transaction email, for example, you can find a way to personalize it, right? It doesn't look like very generic. Definitely, it has the business information, the transaction information, but the person knows that this is the transaction I have just carried out, right? And it could come with, you've seen like a lot of people with, hi, Damilola, hi, John, hi, Femi, right? And that's because they already have like access to the to your database. But even in you those communications, they are saving you because it is important to you, not just to them, right? And important to you, when you see that communication, you feel like it is not a spam. So a typical example is if I onboard on the platform and I get an email on processes to be able to navigate to the platform, I will not call that a spam. I need that information for me to carry out the sign up I just did.
Yes,
if I do a transaction and I get an email, I do not consider that a spam. It's because they are giving me an information that you've done a transaction. This is the transaction you've done, right? It is for documentation purpose for me, right? But if I get an email to say, hi guys, tomorrow we are having a webinar by 9 o'clock, I did not sign up for a webinar. That is you misusing users' information, right? So Having to strike that balance is really important. I know we have like a lot of laws and compliance around it, but the thing we've seen over time is that we've not actually seen like a lot of government add end regulation on it, right? Nobody's penalizing anybody for the use of people's data. People sign up people go to an event, and 3 days later they see another person sending them an onboarding email or an email to sign up on another platform, and they never in any time, give out their information to that company. And when you check it, it's probably from an event who are selling out people's data to other businesses just to be able to get like a lot more customers.
Mm. Mm.
So
Yeah,
I
can
hope
I?
please let's
That makes a lot of sense.
So I hear
Okay.
you, right, Manuel. So it's important to balance personalization with privacy, particularly in the context of GDPR. It requires like a thoughtful approach to data collection, how you use data,
Mhm.
and how protected is this data, right? So first things first is we need to understand the principles. So it's around the data you collect, are using it fairly? Is it for legitimate purpose? Customers should be informed, just like you mentioned, Damilola, about how their data will be used, right? Ensure that their data is also even accurate, right? Sometimes when you apply for jobs, then they tell you that, oh, okay, they are removing you from their platform, blah, 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 and all. So I think it's just important to whatever data we collect, we need to be careful how we use them. Not because we want to segment, we want to upsell, we want to downsell, we want to cross sell. Then we start doing what we don't have to do. So there are
Mm.
principles that guide every
Mm.
action. Every
Yeah.
actions have consequences, as so they say. Right. So that would be just my input there. Thanks.
great.
Thanks
Thanks,
very
very,
much,
very
Kadri.
great.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Do we have any other question before we wrap up? We have just 4 more minutes.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, so my name is Motibala, right? It's been very insightful so far. I just have one question. I'm currently in short tech field, and I currently manage growth marketing for Pass Group. So just a bit of insight into like a daily toolkit for a growth marketer. It's been very insightful. I've been able to get a couple of names and also a couple of tools that I feel like will be really useful. But I was hoping that you also touch light on some like a daily toolkits that a regular um the growth marketer will be needing in this field.
Awesome. Does your company have a mobile app?
Yes, yes.
Do you have like a mobile measuring mobile measuring platform that you use in gathering data?
Yeah, currently we use Google Analytics and we use Mixpanel too.
So both the two you mentioned are good for attribution, but they are not mobile measuring tools, right? A typical example of a mobile measuring tool is Adjust Applier. And what they do is that they help you measure all of the activities that the users are doing on the platform in a unique way, right? So a typical example is, let's say you are running an acquisition campaign and you're using Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, you're using maybe a TikTok ad platform. A mobile measuring tool will help you segment all of those platforms in such a way that you see the numbers of users you are getting from Facebook, you see the numbers of users you are getting from Instagram, you see the percentage of users that are converting, right? From not just download to maybe making their first transaction or finishing their onboarding process, right? Across all of the platform. If your platform will require people to fund, you can also see the percentage of people that have downloaded compared to the percentage of people that are funded, right? So that is what a mobile measuring tool does. It also allows you to be able to track every of your activity, your campaign activity. So let's say you put out a blog post and you want to see the performance of the blog just beyond traffic, right? You can put like a unique link, right, in that blog where you can track all of the activities, numbers of people that click that link, maybe to be able to sign up, and you can see the performance of that particular ad or that particular platform, so that you can make like future decisions based on it. So a mobile measuring tool, if you have a mobile app, is so important. Of course, mobile analytics like Mixpanel is great. It allows you to be able to do attributions. You're able to do like what the mobile journey or the consumer journey is looking like, but they don't give you enough details about your campaign. Mixpanel will not tell you these are the number of people that are coming from Facebook. This is the number of people that have signed up from Facebook. This is the number of people that have made a deposit from Facebook. This is the number of people that have withdrawn from Facebook compared to Instagram or any other acquisition channel, right? So that is super important. If you have less than 10,000 users, I think Upfly to some extent is free. You can just play around it, use the SDK, connect with it, sign up. With your mobile engineers will be able to help you with all of that. I think that's important thing that you need to have. Obviously, Google Analytics for people who don't currently have like enough finances, because that's free. You can most definitely also take advantage of that. Yeah, Optimizely also is also another important platform. It is again, because this platform costs money, you probably want to look at the ones that you can easily afford, right? So I think you also want to have like a customer.io or one signal for personalized notification, right? You want to do like push notifications, you want to do like email, send SMS, just a particular cohort of users. So you want to send people that have signed up and have not funded their account, right? You can use that platform to be able to send personalized information to those set of people. So, you are in 10 countries, you want to send personalized information to people that signed up in Nigeria last week, but they've not funded their account. One signal, customer.io gives you that leverage or that ability to be able to communicate with the set of users. So yeah, those are the ones I'm going to suggest that you have.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so
Thank you very much.
can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead, Kadri.
All right then. So it depends on your goals, anyways. At the end of the day, so what are you even trying to do? Do you want to understand app behavior? Do you want to understand maybe website behavior? It all depends. Do you want to even survey customers, basically? So Google Analytics is there, Mixpanel, just like you mentioned. There's also another tool, a behavioral tool. I think I used that in insurance. So maybe while I was there anyway, so maybe you can look at that too. The name of the tool is Hotjar, Hotjar. So it does a lot of things. That's the good thing about it. You can do section recordings. Basically, when people scroll around your website, the clicks, the navigation, friction points, right? It also helps with its maps. Maybe you want to test a page layout, you want to understand like attention zones or where the actions are. Then also for feedback, you can gather feedback using that. So it does a lot. I think those are the 3 things I remember. It also does funnel tracking. You create a funnel. So at each levels in the funnel, you see different activities. So I think there's also Microsoft Dynamics also. If you are with the Microsoft package, you can enjoy that for free. It also helps check interactions of customers. Thank you.
Great. Mosidola, I hope that answered your question. Thank you so much,
Yes,
everyone.
thank you very much.
All right, great. Won't be able to take any further question again. Thank you so much, Adekunle Kadri, for facilitating today's session. For everyone that has joined, thank you so much for your time. We absolutely appreciate it. We hope to see you in our next session. We'll most definitely communicate our next session with you. Please follow us on all our social media platforms. We'd really appreciate that. We are building a great community of marketing professionals, and I believe that questions can be dropped. Yes, definitely, you can drop like questions in the channel for you to be able to get like answers to them. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope to see you in the next class. My name is Damilola Robert, and I'm the host and founder of the Growth Camp. See you in the next one. Bye, guys. So.